Hi everybody, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Oh my goodness, I got a stroke of genius. Okay, it's my opinion, it's a stroke of genius. So, did you guys get an advent calendar this year? Or did you watch people like me open up an advent calendar and wonder what are they gonna do with that? So I was definitely in that boat. And I told myself, which is crazy because I have a lot of yarn that pretty sure I'm not going to get to anytime soon, if you know what I mean. And I've got a lot of yarn coming too. Good thing I wasn't on a yarn ban in January because I think I got a year's worth of yarn like in one fell swoop over and over. I'm just saying. So I put this strict, is that the right word? I don't know. I told myself I'm not going to buy an advent calendar next year unless there's always a caveat, right? So this is the first time I've ever done one of the advent calendars. If you're new here, here's kind of a glimpse of this. Is the advent calendar I got from Tangled Poet from Aberdeen Wools. Very happy with it. So my decision to get a new get one next year or not doesn't have anything to do with the yarn that I got, the patterns. They did come with patterns, the candles, the cuff, the leather cuff, all the other goodies. Has nothing to do with that. I don't know what to do with minis. Okay, I'm the type that will get one or two skeins of finger yarn because, you know, one might not be enough. So let's get two full skeins, not like little partial skeins, not like little baby skeins, full skeins, because I just don't know. So the thought of deliberately getting 10 or 20 gram skeins, Tangled Poet from Aberdeen were 30 grams. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, deliberately getting these little tiny mini skeins, what do I do with them? Hello, if you've got a 5-pack of 20 grams, that's 100 grams. What are you doing with your 100 gram skein? I know, I get it. Conceptually, I get it. But it just, that's the part that just confuses me. Kind of like bulky weight yarn. Bulky weight confuses me too. I don't know how much I need. I don't know how to make it work. I just, whatever. So I kind of threw that on myself. I didn't want to collect a bunch of minis. I did purchase the Aberdeen Wools pickle jar, like little replacement minis, you know, so I've got a couple bags of those little 6-gram minis. That's like scraps, by the way. That's glorified scraps. 24 yards, glorified scraps. But they do a great job. And of course I bought it, you know, so I don't want to collect them. I don't. I want the larger quantities. So I told myself I have to use it if I want to make another, if I want to order another one, right? You know, so it's, I don't have to. So I kind of had it in my head, I'm not really going to. And then it was, what are you going to make? I love the idea of, excuse me, I just ate dinner. I love the idea of a garment. I want to do a garment or a shawl blanket, a schlanket, I don't know, but there's a word for it, right? The marrying up of the two words. Because I want to use as much of my yarn as possible. So I went down the Ravelry search path, right? It's a black hole. It is a black hole. I put in my password because I was wiggling my face. So this one is cool. The Anthology Throw. There are multiple people making the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. If you haven't seen it, it's a big circle. Look at that. It's just a really nice big circle. Really cool. So, you know, that's cool. But looking at it, it's designed for 24 minis. Yay, I've got those 20 gram minis. Okay. Well, I've got 30 grams of mine. Obviously I could do it, but then I pretty much have a whole nother advent left over. See where I'm getting with that? So I like that idea, but I didn't necessarily want to make a circle, a shawl shape, a blanket shape, you know, a rectangle, something like that, that I can just wrap up and snuggle up in my chair, you know, more like that. You know, I mean, this would work, but that's not where I was going with it on that. Another one for the crocheters, this is a crochet advent baby blanket using fingering weight yarn. Look at this. So this is a ripple type pattern, chevron ripple. Either way, look at that. Isn't that beautiful with their particular minis? Oh my gosh, that is stunning. And I've got a fade that goes through a nice full thing. And this one's by Lucienne Crochet. And that is a paid for pattern. So, you know, I could do either knit or crochet the ripple. And I brought that up before. And one of the subscribers said to me in a comment, it's like, well, he just got done doing a ripple blanket and not really going to do another one anytime soon because of all the counting to make sure that you get your point where the point goes, get the valley where the valley goes. And I've done that with feather and fan with knitting. And, you know, I've had more issues with knitting the ripple than I have with crochet. But truthfully, I haven't done one in crochet in a lot of years. So I might have issues with that too. I don't know. But that one, I like that idea also of just make it, use as many rows as you can. When you run out of yarn, you go to the next color. So that's another good option. And then this one, beautiful. This is Sleigh All Day Advent Wrap, and it is another paid for pattern. This is by Allison Stuefer, and look at that shawl. So it's pointed on one end and everything, and you know, and I was thinking, well, if I did that, could I add stitches to make it, because this is, you know, it's more like that wide and really, really long. And I love the use of lace in it. I really do. And the texture stitches, that to me really drew me to this pattern, but it's not 100% what I wanted. You know, it's like, it's not quite there. And then I started thinking, because I've got this thing where lately I just want to make squares. Did we see these? We saw that this is block 1 of the Cascade 2017 knitting Afghan, but I made this with the Big Twist Vortex yarn. Made 2 of the squares. I will do something with these, but I love the square. I love the way that it looks flattened out. It's, you can see that it's got too many stitches, so that wasn't my route. I'm like, all right, that one's not it. And then it dawned on me, why don't I go back to some of the squares that I made in the past? And I just find it really interesting, and I haven't really responded for a reason, because I knew this is Operation Advent, hashtag Operation Advent. We're going to use our Advent calendars. I'm going to use mine. You can join me if you want to, but I am going to use mine. I have 30-gram hanks, or you know, these things, they're 30 grams, right? That's a good chunk. I can make a larger something. So we know last year, because you've been bringing it up, I was doing some of those squares from our Poent. And what she did, the designer for this one, she made a square. Here's square number 50 by Anne Regourd. She did a square a week, all 52 weeks last year. And for the first week, they were free. Now, they're all paid. I have all 52. I collected all of them. So at the beginning of the year, I made like the first 17 or 18 of them. I made up to the 19th square, but I think there were 1 or 2 that I didn't do. So, you know, I think I did like 17 of the squares, and I took 6 of them that I made in yellow, and I turned them into a blanket for Boggy Creek. And the other ones, I have some of them right here. And I used Big Twist because it's my favorite big box store yarn. It's very sad they might be going away. You know, so I did these and semi-blocked them, right? And people have been asking me, what am I gonna do with these? I don't know. So I can put these into their own little blanket. And those were about 17 inches, somewhere around there. I don't remember offhand. Using size 8 knitting needles and the Big Twist yarn. That's not what the pattern calls for, but you know what? We can do whatever we want. We can use whatever yarn we want and whatever materials we want. So I was thinking, what's it gonna look like? And do I have enough of one of these to make the square? Now the squares say, I think it's like 135, yeah, 131 yards is what it says it takes. And in the Advent thing, it says these are 110 yards. And you're like, lady, you're not gonna have enough. I know, I get that. I can do math too. But this also says they're 30 grams, and a typical tank of yarn is about 400 and something, you know, for the minis, or for the worst fingering weight, like 430-ish yards. And that's, you know, I can't see it being 110 yards. That's what it said. And I think that they were being conservative because they are hand doing these, winding these. Some of them might be just a tad bit over 30 grams. Some of them might be just, you know, maybe 29 grams, something like that. So they just said 110 yards to be on the safe side. And then the other thing I was thinking, okay, so if you look at the edge here, you've got 3 rounds of garter on the edge. And all of them had the same amount of rounds, or at least all of them that I made, and I'm pretty sure they all do. So if I shorted that, instead of doing the 3 rounds of garter and binding off, I did 2 rounds. That would save a little bit of yarn, and maybe I'd have enough to do that. And I have 24 colors, beautiful colors. I could make 24 squares, however big they're gonna be, and put them together. And that would be my Advent blanket. And I don't think I'll use this to put them together. This came with it. This is the Tangled Poet 100 gram skein of yarn that came with it. Okay, so this is 450 yards. So if this is 100 grams at 450 yards, that'd be 45, 90, 135 yards. So for the 30 grams. Okay, so if I had that, you know, and these are 30 grams and it's the same yarn, right? So I might have enough if I shorted around. Yes, short around, I should have enough. And then you also look at some of the squares have more cables in them. Some have cables, and cables use a little bit more yarn than some of the laces. So shorting it around, I think, would be the best route to do. And I could do the 24 squares that way, and Operation Advent would be on its way. I'm excited. So I don't know if I'll make multiple of the same square or do 24 different squares, because I've got 52 choices. You know, there's a lot that I didn't do. Like, you know, I mean, this is pretty cool. This one is square number 50. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Isn't that cool? I like that. So, you know, I had to do it. You know I did. Do you want to see? I did my proof of concept. I shorted it around just like I just said. And I am so excited. There we go. That is my first, and it's not been wet blocked. It's been pinned out, but it's not been wet blocked. But that is it with the Tangled Poet yarn. This is what I had left of this one. I didn't weigh it, but I wouldn't have had enough to go around 2 more rounds, right? So I did short it, the 2 rounds, or the, you know, the purl round and the knit round bind off. So I did short it like that. And I think having just that little bit, I'm pleased with that. So for me personally, this is like the massive win, because I will be using the majority of each skein. I mean, come on, that's tall. That's like scraps right there. I will be using pretty much all of each ball of yarn, all 24 colors. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to use this to put it together. It's beautiful and I love it, but all of the skeins are like this with like a semi-solid or something like that. So I think that's going to be, am I showing the right side? Yeah, I think it's going to be lovely. So that is square number 50. I didn't do that one before with the worsted weight, so I'm doing that with the fingering. This is on size 4 knitting needles. You start from the center and you go out. I'm so excited. All I want to do is squares. I got so excited when I thought of this, and it works, and this is going to get me back. Oh wait, just like last year at the beginning of the year, I'm making Our Poent Squares by Anne Regourd. So I'll link her down below. They are paid for now. Let me see. There's 54 different choices. The price is in euros. It's equals $6.52 in American dollars. But if you look at her stuff too, she does have, if you go straight to her page, and that's, you know, up to you if you wanted to do this. She has one of those pay, kind of not pay what you feel, but she has discount codes for 25% off, 50% off, and 75% off, depending on, you know, where you're feeling as far as that goes. And if you're picking out a couple squares here or there, what have you, she's offering the codes there, so that'd be your choice. But yeah, for everyone that was following me last year, you have a good chunk of these squares. You really do. If you remembered to go out and get them. I made sure that I got them every single week, but I didn't want to sound like a broken record telling you guys go get your square every week, right? So here is my first one. It's not showing up on camera well at all. Okay, it shows up better like that, doesn't it? You can see the lace. You can see the lacy details. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so pretty. I don't know how big it is. Do I have a... I took my measuring tape. Oh, there's one. I got a measuring tape. Let's see. So, like I said, I had this pinned on the blocking board, but I didn't wet it, so it's not been wet blocked. It's just a little bit flatter than, you know, if I didn't. So, just it relaxed. It's 10.5 inches. and that's fine. Putting them together maybe around 45-ish inches by about 60 inches. It's going to be my chair throw. It's going to be when I'm snuggling on my chair, and I think that'll be perfect. It'll be 6 squares by 4 squares. I've got plenty of time to determine what I want to use to connect them with, what yarn. I mean, I could use what came with the kit, but this is so pretty by itself. I don't know. I think that it needs to be its own project, and I'll come up with one of my other yarns to deal with. Yeah, it's going to be hand washed. That's okay. I'm good with that. And it's not going to be heavy because, well, it's just not. They're you know, they're light little squares. I'm so excited. Operation Advent. So who's in? Who's in? I would love to buy another Advent calendar next year. But Advent calendars, if you've ever looked into them and you've priced them, they are expensive. They are a commitment. And if you're not going to use it, or at least, I shouldn't say if you're not going to use it. It's more if you don't have something in your head, because that's how we fool ourselves, whether we're knitting or crocheting. I could make this. If you don't have anything in your head already, or see yourself at one day using it, whether you ever do or not, it's another story. It's harder to justify. At least it is to me. And you know, and I do some mental gymnastics with my yarn. I'm just saying, with the yarn purchases I do, there's some mental gymnastics, so I can bend all sorts of ways. But like I said, on the minis, that one gets me, and this was a lot of fun. This was spectacular, but they're a commitment, financial commitment, whether you're going to use them or you like them, etc. I was thrilled with this. I just want to make sure that I do something with it before I commit to one next year. And it was a lot of fun. I'd like to do one next year. We'll see. I'm not saying I will or I won't. Leaving that out there. We'll see how I feel come time when they come up to selling them, right? Somewhere between July and August. I got mine in August, but somewhere around that time period is my birthday present to me. It was. I did. My husband got me stuff too, but I mean, I went and bought this, and then he bought me Arcane Fiber Work, so I was yarn overload. Woo! Happiness. So that's where I'm at. I am so thrilled and absolutely tickled with myself to have found a pattern for me that I will be using 30 grams per square. I'll have 24 different colored squares, assemble those into a blanket, and I am excited. So this, in my way of looking at it, is another Advent. I've got my Tangled Poet cowl that I'm also doing. That was not an Advent, but it has 14 minis, right? It had 14 colored minis, and I'm just committing to doing one a week, just one a week. I don't want to overload. I have enough other stuff going on. So with that, trying to do the one color a week, with these, we'll see how that works with the 1 square a week. Because I do remember when I was doing these, I did the 1 square a week and I did pretty good for a while. And after a couple months, it was a bit much. It really was. It got to being, a bit too much for me to handle. So I'll see, and I'll give myself that grace. As long as it's done by the end of the year, it should be done sooner than that because I really want it. And you know, if I'm excited about a project, it should get done sooner, right? But we'll see how that works with trying to do the 1 skein a year and Operation Advent, and we'll see what you guys do with your Advents. Are you going to put them to use? Are you going to do something with it? Some of the other squares and things that I was looking at before, realizing this was like right there in my hands. Why was I looking for other squares when I had all 52 of these, right? Used less yarn. They were smaller squares. I would have been able to get a couple squares per color, and there are just lots of different options. I love the idea of using every bit of the yarn per color, and I am absolutely thrilled with that. So I found the perfect project for me to work. Who knew 2025 is starting out knitting wise, just knitting wise, like 2024, with the same designer and the same concept of a blanket, but fingering weight yarn and an Advent and all these luscious hand-dyed beautiful colors. I mean, oh my gosh, don't get me wrong, I love my big twist yarn and I love Joann's, and especially with the potential of it going out of business really, really soon. I'm not dissing my Joann yarn, and I'm going to miss it if it actually goes out. I'm hoping, like a lot of people, that somebody else buys it and the liquidators don't get it. But I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball and I don't have any inside knowledge. I see the same stuff you guys do, or actually you see it and sometimes you send it to me and then I see it. So don't know about that, but I'm excited. Last year I started with the Joann's, right? Making squares. And this year I am working with Tangled Poet, hand dyed, beautiful, gorgeous squares. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So follow along and let me know how you're doing and tell me what you're making with your advent calendar. I am so curious. It seems like right after Christmas, everyone was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know, and you can go down the rabbit hole on advents. I mean, there are some beautiful patterns. There's a mosaic shawl out there, sundial something. Oh my gosh, that was stunning too. That had me like this also. I mean, there's some gorgeous things. So let me know what you're working on and send me a picture. I mean, I want to see what you're doing. You get to see what I'm doing. I want to see what you're doing. All right, Amy, with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. And I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.